This is homework 18 for Mr. Reed's Year 10 Maths group. Now, one thing that I've tried to draw your attention to is the fact that it's due on Thursday this week, so please don't do it for Friday. If you remember, we're not in school on Friday, so I'll be collecting it on Thursday. If you're stuck, you can come and ask me for help before the deadline. Right, we'll have a look at the first question. This is something that I've looked at in the last couple of homeworks, and actually it's still a bit of an issue for some of you, so we're going to try and work on this again this week. If you look, we've got to find the upper and lower bounds of this number, but to this rounding here, and I will give a big clue on this first one. They all work in the same way. So here's one sig fig. The first column is called the tens, so it's to the nearest 10, so you need to go 5 either way. So that should give you the upper and lower bound of that number. The rest of them work in exactly the same way, and as I've said here, remember to ask me if you can't do it. On to the next question, question 2. This is something we're going to be working on in class, possibly Monday, Tuesday, depends on how fast we go. But these shapes are similar, so I've got a pair of similar rectangles here, and the fact they're similar means that there's a relationship between the sides here that you can work out, and once you know that relationship, you can actually use that to work out a missing side. That same is true here. You've got this relationship between these two similar triangles here, and if you know that relationship between 8 and 12, you can work out going back from 15 to that smaller side there. So that's similar 2D shapes. We'll see 3D shapes later in this homework as well. If we look at question 3, now this is just a keywords question. What does congruent mean? We've got that first of all. Then we've also got which of the 4 GCSE transformations always result in a congruent image. So actually, there's one of them that's the odd one out. So if you write down the 3 that always result in a congruent shape. Question 5, same as last week. It is different diagrams actually. It might look like exactly the same question, it isn't. You've got to work out in each of the 4 questions how to get from A to A dashed. From A to A dashed. You need to write down the name of the transformation and all the information that you can find. If we move on, let's have a look at question 6. It's an angle proof question. You've been asked whether or not this triangle is an isosceles triangle. Now, if it is an isosceles triangle, you should know that there's a special property of an isosceles triangle, something to do with the angles at the bottom here. So the question is simple. Is it an isosceles triangle, yes or no? Now, as well as saying yes or no, you need to actually show some algebra to decide whether or not it is or isn't. And a little teaching to the top question is, can you think of more than one way of doing that? There's at least 2 ways that I can think of to solve that problem algebraically. On to question 7. And this is the last one. And this, again, is a topic that we're going to look at in class this week. It's something you were taught in Year 9. We've not had a lot of time to talk about that this year yet, so we're going to do that in this intervention week before half term. You've got 2 3D cylinders. Similar shapes, you've been told they're similar. I've underlined it there. If they weren't similar, you would not be able to work out the answer to this question. The fact they're similar means it is possible to work out a relationship between the heights of these shapes, and that relationship, similar to how a 2D question works, that's the first thing you need to look at. Once you've looked at that relationship between the heights, you can then work out the relationship between the volumes, and there's a little piece of maths that I'll teach you in class this week called LAV, which can be used to solve that problem. So that's it. If you remember, as I've said, to come and ask me if you're stuck before the deadline of Thursday. Good luck.